Coming up on 5 Minute News. Congress passes bill to avert government shutdown. Conservative justice defends court's high-profile abortion case. And Nicolas Sarkozy convicted by court in campaign finance case. It's Friday, October 1. I'm Anthony Davis. With only hours to spare, Congress passed legislation that would avoid a partial federal shutdown and keep the government funded through December 3rd, and sent the bill to President Joe Biden for his signature. The back-to-back votes by the Senate and then the House will help avert one crisis, but delays another as the political parties dig in on a dispute over how to raise the government's borrowing cap before the United States risks a potentially catastrophic default. The House approved the short-term funding measure by a 254 to 175 vote not long after Senate passage in a 65 to 35 vote. A large majority of Republicans in both chambers voted against it. The legislation was needed to keep the government running once the current budget year ended at midnight last night. Passage will buy lawmakers more time to craft the spending measures that will fund federal agencies and the programs they administer. The work to keep the government open and running served as the backdrop during a chaotic day for Democrats as they struggled to get Biden's top domestic priorities over the finish line, including a bipartisan $1 trillion infrastructure bill at risk of stalling in the House. It is a glimmer of hope as we go through many other activities, said Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer. With their energy focused on Biden's agenda, Democrats backed down from a showdown over the debt limit in the government funding bill, deciding to uncouple the borrowing ceiling at the insistence of Republicans. If that cap is not raised by October 18, the U.S. probably will face a financial crisis and economic recession, said Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen. Justice Samuel Alito pushed back on Thursday against criticism, including some from colleagues, that recent Supreme Court action in major cases have been done hastily and in the shadows. A dangerous cabal, improperly deciding important matters. Hardly, he said. Alito, in remarks to the University of Notre Dame, took aim at critics of three recent decisions in which the court's conservatives prevailed over dissents by liberals. In rapid succession, beginning in late August, the court reinstated a Trump-era immigration program, allowed evictions that have been paused by the coronavirus pandemic to resume, and let a Texas law severely limiting abortion go into effect. All three cases came to the court as emergency motions and were decided quickly and without the court's more typical full briefing and oral argument. That process has been called the court's shadow docket. Our decisions in these three emergency matters have been criticized by those who think we should have decided them the other way, and I have no trouble with fair criticism of the substance of those decisions, Alito said. He added, "My complaint concerns all the media and political talk about our sinister shadow docket. The truth of the matter is there was nothing new or shadowy about the procedures we followed in those cases. It's hard to see how we could handle most emergency matters any differently." The unsigned majority opinion in the abortion case was issued around midnight and was not even 2 full pages. Unlike the previous 2 emergency cases, Chief Justice John Roberts joined his liberal colleagues. Alito said it was false and inflammatory for critics to claim that the conservatives in the Texas case effectively nullified the landmark Roe v. Wade decision guaranteeing a woman's right to an abortion. French ex-president Nicolas Sarkozy, who was convicted on Thursday and sentenced to a year of house arrest for illegal campaign financing of his unsuccessful 2012 re-election bid, will appeal the ruling, his lawyer said. The court said Sarkozy would be allowed to serve the 1-year sentence at home by wearing an electronic monitoring bracelet. Sarkozy, France's president from 2007 to 2012, had vigorously denied wrongdoing during the trial in May and June. Sarkozy wasn't present at the Paris court for the ruling. He's accused of having spent almost twice the maximum legal amount of €22.5 million on the re-election bid that he lost to socialist François Hollande. The court stated that Sarkozy knew the legal limit was at stake and voluntarily failed to supervise additional expenses. Thursday's verdict comes after 66-year-old Sarkozy was found guilty on March 1st of corruption and influence peddling in another case. He was given a year in prison and 2 years suspended in that case, but is free pending appeal. It's the first time in France's modern history that a former president has been convicted and sentenced to a prison term for actions during his term. You can subscribe to 5 Minute News on YouTube with your preferred podcast app. Ask your smart speaker or enable 5 Minute News as your Amazon Alexa flash briefing skill. Subscribe, rate and review online at 5minute.news. 5 Minute News is an Evergreen Podcast covering politics, inequality, health and climate, delivering independent, unbiased and essential world news daily.